Have you or someone you know been laid off, downsized, or flat out fired? If so, then you know the toll it can take on you financially as well as emotionally. I'm Cheryl Grace, and you might want to join me every second and fourth Sunday of each month as I help my hopeful mentee get through this challenging phase in her life as she finds a new job on Live from the Pink Couch. Rebecca is in the throes of a transition. She's looking for a job after being laid off unexpectedly about 18 months ago. She has been on 40, she's applied for 40 positions and been on 20 interviews. So what we know about Rebecca is Rebecca's resume is getting her in the door, but we also know that she is working to land and seal the deal. Rebecca, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Cheryl. How are you?
I'm just excited about the work that you guys are doing. So, Rebecca,
It is
your
exciting.
thank you. Your pink elephant is to secure a comparable position in status, responsibility, and salary to the position that you held prior to being laid off in 2018. And your homework assignment was to list out interview questions you could remember being asked and to record yourself answering those questions. And you were also assigned with splitting your resume, which was really great, but it was a little bit intimidating because you have so many different things on it that we wanted you
Yeah.
to focus three separate resumes on three individual like roles, a little bit more specialized than a total generalized, right? So
Right.
Rebecca, I assume you did your homework assignment because you sent me your resumes on Thursday. But what
I
did you
did.
learn from this experience?
So I will say of both of the assignments, the resume thing was the most daunting. Why was it the most daunting? The most daunting because I've had so much, and I feel like, everything is important, and I don't want to necessarily shortchange myself. And so a lot of my experience is basically under this one umbrella, if you will, of my diversity and inclusion work that I've done. But that's not necessarily a skill, right? The skill is the social media, the writing of the speeches, the actual strategy behind everything. So it was a little bit challenging for me to figure out where to put all of that stuff. And I remember when I was actually going through undergrad, it was kind of, my professors used to say, put yourself in one bucket. Like, you've got to like focus on one thing and just do that one thing. But once I got to grad school and the nature of how people get information and the nature of how the marketing communications world has changed, everything is integrated. So now the information and the charge was to, focus on this, focus on that, dabble in this, dabble in that, so it's definitely beneficial, I think, and I definitely call myself a hybrid communicator. But I would say that the resume portion of it has definitely been the challenge, because I want to put everything on there, and then it's like I don't know which one to separate. So that was the hardest. That really was the hardest
Okay.
assignment.
Okay. So I have it. I have to look at it for you
Mm-hmm.
and examine it. Um, and I will give you that feedback. What about your questions that you recorded yourself? How are you coming across to you in an interview?
I think I'm coming across to be great.
I think you probably think you are.
um, no, but that was also an eye opening. It was also an eye opening experience. I thought I did well, and I did what you said. I did write the questions down, but I did not write my answers. And I stood up and just to make sure, I was being great at enunciating. And then I also made sure to pace myself as well, because I know sometimes I do get excited and talk very fast, and wanted to make sure that I was clear and articulate. So I was really, I think, being very careful of what I was trying to say. But it also made me feel just a tad bit uncomfortable because I also felt like I wasn't myself. And just really just concentrating on what I was saying. But it definitely was an eye-opening exercise for sure. Honestly, I started coughing in the middle a little bit, so I'm sorry about that. But I kept it going because I felt like this is a real simulation, as if I was in an interview. And some of the questions, just to share with everyone, do you want me to share some of the questions that I've
Yeah,
been getting?
share a
I guess
question
that
and
would be helpful.
answer.
Yeah. So some of the questions, I know a lot of people kind of start the interview off with, tell us about yourself. So I do realize that question is so open ended. It can be so long winding at times. It definitely can get a bit long winded. So I think another question too as well. Then you start to kind of get into the thought questions. And one of the questions that I got, which was a little bit, I guess, surprising, one question an employer asked me, when was a time where you had to disagree with a team member? And did you go along with that team member or did you stick to your guns?
Mm.
And that actually, I was like, wow, that's really, and I think they were really looking for, kind of looking at how are you with integrity, how
And
are
how
you
do
with
you
your
handle conflict
passions,
resolution?
and how do you handle conflict resolution?
Yeah,
And so
which happens on the
I
job, by the way.
Exactly. So I did appreciate that question because actually there was a time where I did have to go against someone that was very senior than I was, but I laid out all of the reasoning why I thought it should be that way. And at the end of the day, I didn't win and I wasn't the victor, but I walked away and was very confident with myself that I was very true to a passionate subject of what I was working on. So it was definitely a good exercise, and to actually play it back and to hear yourself, that's also something that's like, oh my goodness. But it really was a good exercise. I actually enjoyed that one more than the resume, to be honest.
You enjoyed listening to your answers than you did reshaping your resume. I
Right.
encourage anyone listening who is in the process of interviewing, Maya, that's going to include you too. It is really great to listen to yourself talk.
It is.
Pay attention to your tonation. Pay attention to how positive you are. All of that. So if you can record using your iPhone or using your smartphone, record your answers to interview questions, and also make sure that when they say, "So tell me about yourself," you don't start off like one woman I had who I mentored once, and I asked her that question. She said, "Well, I'm a Gemini," and then she went on to tell me that when I asked her, like, tell me one important thing that you've accomplished. Well, I cleaned out my closet because I'd recently
Oh
lost
my
a lot of
goodness.
weight, and I cleaned out my closet. Like, and I'm like, that's not what I mean when I say, tell me about yourself.
Right.
When I ask
Right.
that question, tell me about yourself, people, when you get that question, what they want is they want insight into how you can help their company, right? And
Right.
so, Rebecca, I know you're not going in sharing that you clean out your closet,
No, no, I'm not doing that.
but we
I
want to
never
make
did
sure
that. Thank
that
goodness.
you're very, very streamlined with your answers. And the best way to get streamlined and ensuring that you're answering those questions, you guys, is tape yourself. Tape yourself before you're asked that question. Rebecca, before I forget, your homework assignment is to identify 10 dream companies that you'd like to work for, because we're going to see if we can get you into one of those companies.
Check out the full Live from the Pink Couch web series and keep up with all 5 mentees' progress on powerfulpenny.com. This has been a Powerful Penny LLC Pink Elephant production.